You go ahead and start with introductions, Gary.
Okay. Well, Ben, how did you like that rousing introduction?
That was amazing, and hopefully it has something to do with a lot of talk we got going on today.
Pigs in Space, rousing applause.
Yeah.
Real Alien Talk, episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
We are recording this time.
Yep.
I can see the
We're
I
live.
can see
Full
the
colors.
green going into yellow.
Sweet.
That other voice you hear, of course, me being Scary Gary, SG1, Ben Parker, the usual host. Our guest today, this lovely Sunday, be Dustin Rayz, Rockstar Pro, CZW. Anywhere else? Here and there?
The universe, outer space.
Right. Fuck wrestling. We're not talking about wrestling today. We're going to go into some weird shit.
Interdimensional.
Some real alien talk.
I'm paranormal. Just call me Paranormal Dustin Rayz.
There we go.
You've already used the banned word. So, fuck it. I still like you, though. You're still a cool guy. So where do we want to take it today, fellas? We're just going to wing it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I figured we have Dustin here, and has pretty good knowledge, man, about, like, shadow government things, UFO, but besides that, a pretty good variety of things. I figured we'd start off with some, people behind the strings, so to say, of the way we try to live our lives, or try to live our lives without having them to interfere with us too much. But it seems like it's a bit too much with these shadow governments nowadays, and personally, I think, and I know a lot of people also agree that they may have their hands in a lot of things in our day-to-day lives that we may not know or may not want to believe they do, but they do. And do you have anything about that, Dustin, you'd like to say?
Oh, man, what?
Yeah.
What?
Very loaded topic.
I mean, it's very easy to go off on a tangent on the topic. I mean, they can go back as far as... I believe it was Truman we were talking about.
Yeah, we were talking about Harry Truman.
Truman and his alleged meeting with extraterrestrials and whatnot. And see, the thing is, with this whole topic, and just like we discussed earlier before the show, everything sounds so fantastic. It sounds so unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And we grow up being told that we don't live in this fantastic, unbelievable world.
Yeah.
But let's just step outside that for a moment and say we do. Let's say all this is possible, and all these fantastic topics and, supposed happenings exist. Imagine how different the world we actually live in really is. Let's say that we've had deals with extraterrestrials, which, let's be honest, we live in a universe that is endless as far as we know, and that there's gotta be statistically improbability that there's not a planet out there with more intelligent life than us.
Right.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, look, even there's reports now that past Neptune, they may have found 2 new planets we may never
I just read that today, yeah.
I mean, come on, and to think we look in our oceans every single day, every single year after year, and constantly find new species.
Right.
So as human beings and as people with realistic thoughts of things, to think, oh, this is it as far as Earth goes, we're the only living things, it's very
arrogant and naive.
Yeah.
Right, that plays to the human ego that we're special and alone in this universe.
Yeah, and I mean, and we've been brought up through religion and whatnot, and I'm not dissing religion by any means, but we've been brought up to think that we are the quote-unquote God's only creation.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that there's no God, because, like I said, I feel that there's something, I can't tell you what.
So not an old man with a beard in the sky?
Yeah, or a squiggly spaghetti monster. Right. But the thing is, think about the government now, and with all the release of all this classified information from Edward Snowden, we live in the United States, we live in a world where governments like to have power and like to keep secrets. How is it so hard to believe that they would keep a secret like this for years? Think of the ramifications of the way that people would feel if this truth got out. Because let's say we have spaceships, or we have craft that can go not only through space at light speed or whatnot, or interdimensionally, the type of fuel that would take to run something like that would change the way that we live our lives.
Oh, totally.
So to keep that under wraps by the 1%, I mean, is not that hard to believe, and by all means, it's not crazy.
And I mean, I understand, like we talked about back in Truman's days, like Project MJ-12, where it was like after the big Area 51 thing happened, and there's aliens, supposedly, the big thing, not knowing if the government had something to do with it, if it was already an inside job, maybe they were here and it blew up, or they came here and it blew up, lightning struck it, whatever it was. And I understand why certain things like that might have been protected during that time period, because who knows what the Russians knew, who knew what they were de-engineering, reverse engineering also. So it was a sense of security. But let's put it this way, nowadays, security is this mythological fearmonger that is just there to protect certain things and certain interests of certain groups, just to keep the masses blinded, in a say, you know?
Well, fear is a powerful tool of control.
Oh, yeah. And
that's why we look for terrorists in our fucking cereal boxes. So it's, I mean, and the thing is and we discussed this earlier, when they literally know of terrorist training camps, all over the United States have film of them, but do nothing. Instead, they're arresting people who are, middle-class citizens who said something about the police, who said something about a political figure they don't like, and arresting them as citizens, or as terrorists. So, I mean, fear is a powerful form of control, and governments, I love my country.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love my country. Doesn't mean I have to love my government, though.
Oh, you're totally right. It's like, people, and that sounds like too much of a patriot, but I love America.
Fuck yeah.
I've traveled a lot around the world. Yeah, do we have bad things that happen in our history and continue to sometimes happen still? We do. Does everyone else? Yes, you do. If you think you're another country and you can go, oh, F America because they did blah, blah, look at your own country's history, first of all. Because no one out there is perfect. You've all done something fucked up that wasn't good for society as a whole, period.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the United States as a whole is an experiment in itself.
Oh, exactly.
It's an experiment.
Yeah.
But, I mean, let's be honest. When it comes to secret societies and the amount of control that is limited to so few people. In all reality, the president isn't the president.
Yeah.
He's a puppet. The last person that tried to be the president was shot in the head in Dallas in 1963.
Yeah, no, I believe that too. I agree with you. I think
and that was a message.
It was.
It was a broadcast live message.
And you're absolutely right. And I'm sure every president after that, once they're sworn in the office, is taken into the Oval Office and shown the Zapruder film and says, "Get out of line, and this is what can happen."
Yeah. You have
absolutely.
Here's what you could talk about to everyone else. You can kind of come and hang out with our boys club if you want to. Listen, you really have nothing to say. Just go out and be basically a flag for people to kind of feel in comfort in knowing that you were actually in charge.
And like I said, they're a puppet, they're a figurehead, because let's be honest, Ronald Reagan was an actor. He wasn't the smartest guy. How can an actor become the president of the United States? George W. Bush was a moron.
Yeah.
A moron. He couldn't even talk. He couldn't even get a single sentence out without messing it up, or walk through a door without looking like a moron.
I mean, he wasn't respected amongst his own family.
Yeah, he wasn't even. Oh my goodness!
I mean, you have Bush Senior also, which was the head of the CIA, I believe, and there's so many weird theories about stuff like, did he introduce crack or AIDS into society?
Well, a lot of people,
stuff like that.
And it's a topic it's easy to ramble off about. And in my opinion, with George W. Bush, the whole Bush family, all you have to do is go back to Prescott Bush, who was the grandfather of George Bush, Daddy Bush.
Yeah.
He was a low key Nazi who was funding the Nazi Party during World War II, and he got busted about it. The only reason to then come out in public was because he also started the USO.
Yeah.
And the USO was so huge at the time. That would be such a huge buzzkill to the soldiers over there if they found out the guy who started the USO was also funding the Nazis. So that just goes to show you what kind of family he comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And Bush going to be, a lot of people believe now, going back to JFK, that Bush was involved in the JFK assassination.
Oh yeah, no, like I said, that's one of the many legends of Bush Sr.
Yeah. And to anybody who's just stumbling onto this, and we're covering so many topics at once, all you have to do is pop into YouTube, and I love YouTube for this because there's so many videos out there, and you got to pick and choose, and I've watched hundreds. This information's out there, and trust me, there's people that know about it. There's people that have. Jim Mars is a real good guy to. I don't know if you guys know about Jim Mars, but he's been covering he's been covering the Kennedy assassination, UFOs, everything since before the Kennedy assassination.
Yeah, right.
He's been covering all this stuff. But it's out there, and it's really easy to get that information. You just have to go looking for it. But unfortunately, mainstream people who are in the mainstream media will never look past what they see on TV.
Yeah, because it's labeled weird or that funny business or that maybe something we just don't talk. It's just a ruse.
Tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists, which I love.
Yeah.
Because calling somebody a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist is the same way as calling someone crazy. And like I said before, I believe that the easiest way to dismiss somebody is by referring to them as crazy. Oh, they're crazy. It's very dismissive. That's one of the worst things you can call somebody because it is so dismissive.
Yeah. But
the fact is that all you have to do is take that first step into that direction and look into. It's a bona fide rabbit hole of information, and you'll keep tumbling and tumbling and tumbling. And within the past 2 years, my cousin, who never believed it, like he's like a brother to me, never really bought into any of this. He was like your most people who he was an intelligent guy, but never looked into it.
Yeah,
and all it took was just one conversation during a workout, and it piqued his interest. And he kept looking and looking and looking. And a month later, he's like, "Bro, what the fuck?" You know? And I was like, It's really easy to get lost in this whole subject.
Oh, totally. And thank goodness for things like this social media we have. Because it wasn't for like this YouTube or, for example, this little podcast shows we can do. We're not asking to change the world or anything like that, but maybe just talk about things that you might rethink about sometimes.
Exactly. And that's cool because you never know who's going to listen to this. You never know how many people are going to hear it, but if you spark one mind, that sparks another mind, and so on and so forth, all it takes is someone standing up.
Yeah.
And that's all. And there's a great quote, and I wish I could remember the guy's name, but he said, all that is necessary for evil to triumph is that good people do nothing.
It is totally true. It's totally true.
And Burke, I believe, is the guy's last name. And hopefully that's something that we can do with this, you know?
Yeah. It's just, like I said, it may not change the world or anything like that, but at least if we can get a few people to, like, go look at something, maybe think outside the box for a second, you know? And honestly, I believe when you start thinking a little bit outside the box, not only does it help you feel that you may be a little more control of your own destiny in a sense, if you can be, but in a sense, like, it really does open up the universe to you.
Absolutely.
Your mind can go anywhere as far as your belief system and life, work for the positive.
I like to call it waking up.
Yeah.
You know, because we're so programmed to think inside the box.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Like Dustin said earlier, our world's going to be revealed to be much more comic book-like and science fiction-like than they want us to believe. Like, it's going to be so bizarre and so out there that you discount it at first glance, right?
In my opinion, all you have to do is look at any movie from the 60s on, and it's all predictive programming.
Oh, it's all predictive. We were talking about this earlier. I think even though some movies are real life, I think some movies are more based off real events than we portray them think they are.
How many times were the World Trade Center towers like blown up or destroyed before it actually?
Oh yeah, in movies.
Like as soon as they went up, King Kong was tearing them down.
And
is Die Hard one?
Die Hard? I don't know.
Did they
was that Die Hard? I don't know.
I think it was.
X-Files. There was a spin-off series to the X-Files where they almost flew planes into the World Trade Center.
Right.
I mean,
but I think I think we probably need to come back to the aliens because we kind of like it's such an encompassing topic. It's not just, and that's where I think people like get lost in one single thing and they don't open their minds up to the possibility of aliens, shadow governments and monsters, and like I said before, you know, we live in a world where monsters aren't supposed to exist. But what are we seeing in this world?
Oh, we see them in normal human society on the news, and some beyond fucked up stories in the world. So why wouldn't it exist in the animal or human animal form? So
do I believe that there are crazy people in the world that sometimes see shit? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But when they're seeing the same thing over and over, and there's no mass delusion going on. The only mass delusion is what's on TV and what we're told to see.
Yeah.
So. And when these people are coming forward, and a lot of them are scared to come forward because they're afraid of being ridiculed. My dad never came forward about what he saw. He only told his family. Yeah. And a very small portion of his family, too. So it's like, because nobody wants to be made fun of or ridiculed or called crazy. And there's, like I said, it's a huge subject that's very wide. And
or fear of not being with the normal group and being
absolutely
outside.
Everyone wants to be normal. But that depends on your definition of normal. Is normal good?
Yeah, exactly.
Is being a sheep good? No.
Normal's comforting, though.
Yeah, but it's a blissful ignorance.
Yeah, exactly. It's a blissful ignorance.
And I would tell that to anybody, you know, and we live in a blissful ignorance. All you have to do is look up videos on the Iraq War, or talk to anybody who's been in Afghanistan, which I'm sure all of us know somebody. Yeah. And it's fucked up. It's not... Even they know that we're not over there fighting for what we thought we were fighting for in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
Once again, though, completely different subject.
Yeah, completely different. You know?
It's related, but it's just a branch, you know, off of one singular topic.
I mean, speaking of, you know, why we were over there and all that stuff, I know it's all off for break, but like I was saying earlier, it really seems like we go from communism to terrorism to what's next, alien invasion.
Well, I mean, they've been, like, you know, with Ronald Reagan saying, you know, what if we were faced with a threat from an outside alien force, you know, how all of our, you know, why would he say, he's the president, why would he say that?
Yeah.
I mean,
so are you preparing us for
I think
down
he's,
the road?
honestly, I thought he was probably, and I'm sure there's probably, I was born in the 80s, you know, during Ronald Reagan administration, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who'd be like, you're talking about the man. You're talking about Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, you're talking about the guy, yeah.
Reagan wasn't as smart as what everybody let on. Do I think he was briefed on certain things? Yes. And do I think he was fascinated by it? Yes. Like, just like anybody who would be if they knew this shit was true.
Yeah.
Reagan delivered the best promos.
Yeah, he did.
Actor,
you know, what was an actor?
That role.
Yeah.
But, you know, since we're on the Middle East topic, let's talk about Samaria.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people believe that the reason why we went into Iraq, which is the cradle of civilization...
The cradle of civilization. That's been in wars for 1,000 years. No one's ever conquered this shit.
Now, they think that we went over there to find technology that had been lost and that they had control of. Or at least they may not know how to operate it, but there was... like the raiding of the Iraq Museum.
Oh, totally.
To get artifacts.
Right.
And and you look at the Temple of Myrrh. I believe that was the name of it. Yeah. Which is this... It's actually in Blade 3. They use it as the tomb... They say it's the tomb of Dracula, but it's actually a real... I had to look it up because it's a real place. And a lot of people believe that Stargates existed there.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Right.
I mean, I think it's weird that you go invade or liberate a place, and one of the...
Liberate, quotation marks.
Liberate the place. And one of the handful of places you very first go to start liberating people is you go through the museums to gather their objects to preserve them.
Right.
You know?
My friend Genesis had always said that that's usually the main objective when you're raiding. This had happened to him, and the main objective was to get the archive that he had of like all these mystical objects and stuff that he had over time, you know, collected, and that was the main objective for Britain to do what they did to him, to take his archive. It's the same thing.
Well, Hitler did the same thing when he started conquering Europe. He wanted the Spear of Destiny. Yeah, he
was
wanted Book of Spell. Like there was, he sent guys after.
Well, he would fly planes over that would just release leaflets with like like dark magic prayers and stuff.
Well, I mean, for anybody who thinks that Adolf Hitler was crazy, yes, but he was also super intelligent too. Was he a madman? By many people's opinions, yes, but most people who are evil, they believe that they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But he was very into the occult and very into... A lot of people don't realize that the Aryan race wasn't just white people with blonde hair, but the Aryan race was actually a mythical alien race.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like the first species of aliens.
And that's left out in a lot of World War II documentaries. The Aryan race just wasn't a bunch of white folks.
No,
right.
And he was trying to create that too in a lot of the children. But like once again, to go back over to Iraq and Afghanistan, primarily Iraq. When you look at ancient Samaria, and they knew that we had multiple planets in a solar system.
Yeah.
They knew that. They were the first ones to have writing.
Yeah.
They literally, in their history, say that the gods were beings that came down and taught them and changed us and made us, and they were here for gold. And a lot of people will dispute what was actually written because of interpretations of it. But multiple people have interpreted it and found the same thing. But you also have a lot of disinfo out there because you don't want people to be educated on the hidden history.
Oh yeah, because if in my opinion, just solely my opinion, if literally the aliens came down today like, yo, we're fucking here, you're gonna have people who doubt,
bruh.
You're gonna have people who doubt. Hopefully, I hope they would. I hope they come out and give us a big fuzz, hey, because then you're gonna have billions of people shitting themselves. Because it's going to disprove a lot of religions, which religion, in my sense, is a self of comfortness and of
control.
Yeah.
And then people aren't going to believe in our governments can have this mysterious guy in the sky. When I talk about mysterious guy in the sky, I'm talking more like government. This government entity is not going to take care of me if I need him. To protect me. Those two things gone, people are going to fucking freak out. It's going to be the level head ones who are going to be like, oh, okay, let's just try to communicate with them.
I love it because it's like Men in Black. When Agent K says, yeah, people are smart. But or he says the person is smart, the individual is smart, but people are dumb, stupid animals and will go crazy, and that's the truth. I mean, all you have to do is look at Ferguson, and you see these people who are incited. Do I think that they should be upset? Absolutely. But they're easily they become dumb, stupid animals and self-destructive, and I think that's what a lot of people's opinions are. But just the hit, just taking what we know now about Truman and MJ-12 completely out of the whole thing, and just focusing on the history of the Earth.
Yeah.
And these places, and the way that monuments are set up on the Earth on the 33rd parallel, I think?
Yeah.
It's one of those. And how they're all connected, with the pyramids, etc. And the fact that there's pyramids underneath the ocean right off the coast of Japan, and they say the last time that was above sea level was during the Ice Age. Now, we were supposed to be Neanderthals, and we weren't supposed to be evolved enough to do that. The fact that the pyramids were built right out of the Stone Age should blow your mind.
Oh, exactly. Like, one stone suppose will take you 300 to 500 years just to carve the damn thing and get where it needed to be.
Now, did we have some sort of technology that allowed us to levitate these blocks or whatnot, or make them super light? I don't know.
Yeah.
Some people believe that the people who built the pyramids were giants because of the way that they were depicted in the carvings.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they depict them the way that they saw them. So you would see these men who are huge carving on a statue, but then when you see the statue that is depicted in the carving, it's gigantic.
The person.
The person is just as big, so they believe that maybe, possibly that's what it is that they were built by giants.
And I mean, they have, for example, places like Machu Picchu, right up in the fucking mountains.
Yeah, right in the mountains.
How do you get some of the shit there? It's there's no, the round ball thing,
Oh yeah, that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
All you have to do is look at Pumapunku and see how perfect the blocks are.
Yeah.
And the fact that so many thousands of feet above sea level, there's no trees there.
And they have little runways on top of the mountains.
Okay. The top of a mountain that has literally been shaved off.
The top of it shaved
Mountains
off.
don't fucking form that way.
BC. Keep that this BC.
Yeah. Shaved off. And how do you explain that?
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
You tell me that, and hey, if you want to say it's gods, that's cool, but gods could be another word for alien.
Exactly. I mean, what a higher spiritual being than us, enlightened being, that could be any,
And once again,
an old man with a beard.
Once again,
it could be an old man beard. It fucking knows.
It could be too.
And I always say this. I believe, I feel that there's something connects us all. And like I said, I call it the Force. Just because you don't know what it is.
No, Einstein spoke of it.
Yeah.
And,
I was J.T. Davidson. He doesn't, he knows I'm into all these topics, and he out of nowhere, he was like, "Oh, you want to talk about it?" Someone brought up time travel. He's like, "We talk about time travel." That's my thing. He's like, I think Einstein figured out time travel.
Oh, I think there's
because there was a period of time where, because he used to take meticulous notes.
Oh, insane notes, because he would just forget, because he would.
Yeah, he's got so much going on.
Yeah,
and Tesla as well.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Right.
Well, he could form schematics in his brain and realize if something was going to work or not without building a prototype. He built a prototype in his brain, which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
but Einstein had 3 months of his life disappeared,
just gone.
And then when he came back, he destroyed all the notes, and he said there are some things that men just aren't meant to.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So, but.
Because he was all dealing with like energy, and I mean, he even said a few times the things I've read about him. It's like he's like, I believe there's a circle of energy, and we're all connected to it, and we go in and out of it.
But like when it comes to, I think we've been asleep for so long, and that there's that ancient history, and there's a knowledge that's being kept from us intentionally because we're not somebody or something or people, the shadow government.
The shadow government. What we call it, cabal,
The cabal of people who want to keep us dumbed down, who don't want us to know what our real history is. And a lot of us will leave this world without ever knowing. And, well, you never know. You may find out, depending on what you believe or what might be out there, you may find out afterwards.
Yeah.
But the fact that we have this rich history that is literally being covered up and kept from us just goes to show you that there is something more to this planet than what we already know.
Oh yeah, because the universe it goes back to, if we think we're, in my opinion, if we think we're alone, it's so arrogant of
it's
us.
Asinine to think that we're alone. It's very, very ignorant. Right. And I hate to diss any religions just because, to me, there's nothing wrong with having faith.
Yeah, your belief.
But in my opinion, faith is a personal thing. Religion's a group activity.
No, I think, I agree with you.
But people will die for a belief.
Mm-hmm.
People blow themselves up for beliefs.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's just a crazy, I feel like it's a huge distraction to what's really out there. It's a divide and conquer type mentality.
Yeah.
Divide us as a world, divide us as a country, divide us as a world, and we can never come together and discover these things as a people, not as Muslims, Christians, black, white, Chinese, whatever, but as a people, as joking, I said it's joking, as earthlings.
Oh, exactly.
But as a planet, come together and discover what is our real role in this universe. Yeah. But we're too caught up in lines on a map. Yeah. Or on who said what to, like we disrespect each other so much as a people. It's ridiculous. And I think that is designed to do that, to keep us not.
It's all a big puppet show. Giving us, fake.
Now, of what do you think they're kind of trying to keep away from us? How much of that do you think is just lost through stupidity of war, destruction of certain societies?
Oh, I think all that's like diversion to keep us actually from fucking.
You think the great majority of it is people actually trying to keep it from us, not just it's lost, not found.
Look at World War I. The reason why World War I was started was complete bullshit. And that might have been the start
of most wars.
Most
looking for
every war that we've been into since past the Revolutionary War has been started on false pretenses. Yeah. Regardless of what anybody believes, all they have to do is do the research into it and look into these false flags. And for anybody who doesn't know what a false flag is, just Google the term. Because we don't have the time to explain it. But all these wars have been started off false flags. And the thing is, you ask why. And a lot of it has to do with money, control, and power. Yeah. Plain and simple.
War is the biggest income generator. Profit.
Not for us. Yeah, but for the powers that be. Yeah. For the J.D. Rockefellers, for the Rothschilds.
Well, go back in History World War and you look at the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. That was one of the last families in Europe during World War I to hold on, and they had so much art and knowledge and libraries back then. Who knows what happened to that? Because when everybody was closing in on that Hungarian Austrian Empire, they scattered.
Oh yeah.
You know, so who knows what's what and this and that. You know?
I love it. Puppet Masters is a great way to explain it because that's what it is. There's always someone pulling the strings, and I just challenge anybody who would be listening to this topic or who may not believe us. All you have to do is just take that one step in that direction and start looking, and just go back and it all comes one thing after. Everything's connected, whether it be aliens, whether it be wars, whether it be monsters. And when we've talked about this, on before the podcast, we're not supposed to live in a world where monsters exist. We're told as we get older that they're not real.
Yeah, it's fairy tales, it's all legends and stuff.
I tell you what, I've been in some scary places and seen some scary things. And I can tell you, this shit's real.
Oh, yeah.
It exists. I've seen things that I shouldn't see. I've been in my house that I grew up in is over 100 years old, and the barn is held together by pegs. It looks like the Amish built it. And we were standing there. What's that?
Middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere, yeah. It's out there. And looking through a camera in my barn, we could see some black figure standing there. But when we looked, we couldn't see it. But when you look through the camera, you can see a humanoid figure standing there. And numerous people who have ever come to my house. I mean, we started wrestling there. That's where me, Dave, Jay, that's where we were trained.
Yeah, the quote barn.
It is the barn with a capital B. We've taken pictures there and seen faces in the pictures that shouldn't be there.
Damn.
Sean Draven, this is a great story about him. Because I've known Sean Draven forever too. We heard something walking around outside of my house, and we're like, "What the fuck is that?" So we run outside, and I dart around the house because I'm like, if someone's out there snooping around my house, I'm like, it's go time. Well, that's crazy.
Let's do it.
So as he goes to leave one night, I'm sitting down in my living room, and I got the windows open, and I hear him peel out of the driveway and just haul ass down the road. And I call him the next day and I said, "What was that all about?" He said, "Bro, something walked behind my car and I saw it in the rear view mirror, so I got the fuck out of there." And we were discussing earlier, my cousin said he saw what he could only describe as a gargoyle.
Yeah.
And he is a no bullshit kind of guy. He works as military intelligence for the Air Force. Top secret clearance, the whole nine. They would not give a guy who fucking lies this type of clearance. Yeah. And he says, "I swear to you on everything that I am, it had wings like a bat, like a fucking gargoyle." Right. And, and my sister talks about seeing something run across the road just down the road. It's things like this aren't supposed to exist.
Yeah.
So if things like this exist that are so fantastic, how is it improbable that a species smarter than us came down here thousands of years, millions of years ago and said, "Hey, here you go. Here's a little technology. Here's a little smarts. Here's a little genetic enhancing.
Yeah.
And let's go see what you can fucking make of yourself."
Our incubator's on some ship, and then it's like, I want to see where this goes, and takes the plant out of the pot and puts it in the soil. And
what
the hell happens?
I tell you what, all you have to do is look to the Bhagavad Gita. What was the other Hindu text? The Mahabharata.
The Mahabharata,
and the Bible, and
they all tell the same story.
They tell
huge galactic war.
Very especially the Mahabharata.
Hindu did huge galactic war happened.
That is some of the best science fiction before science
Laser
fiction ever
beams.
existed. But they weren't. The thing is, when people started writing, they didn't write stories. They wrote down their history. Because no longer it was an oral tradition. It was a written history. So, think about it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you talk about, quote, gargoyle, man. How many hundreds of years has the Catholic Church or other churches talked about gargoyles?
I know, it's nuts. Shit's like this not supposed to exist, you know?
Right. And we talked about when it's like one source, that's one thing. But when it's like several different sources, thousands of miles away, if not different continents, I think I hate dragons. I think they're the stupidest thing. But
very fantastical.
How can they exist in Asia, Europe, all these different continents where they didn't have planes and they barely had boats that could travel that far, but yet they all had common
all these
descriptions of this creature.
All these books telling the same basic story.
Yeah.
They'll have a flood. They'll have a creation,
But you got to figure, there's so much time between us that we're like, oh, maybe they're just exaggerating.
But a serpent in a tree talking to a woman is perfectly normal.
Yeah, well, it's like all you have to do for anybody who doesn't believe it, trust me, I believe two things are for certain. Good and evil exist.
Oh, exactly. No, exactly. That's the base of life is good and evil.
It's yin and yang. You can't have one without the other. And I've seen evil and I've seen good. But all you have to do is go into if you're a Christian, go into the Bible and look back at this. And I used to say, hey, maybe that's just personal interpretation. And I'm sure a lot of it was because how do you describe a spaceship?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, especially someone who's never even seen a plane before.
But when they talk about giants, well...
Right. Yeah. Early Genesis, giants walked on the earth.
Yeah, absolutely. And
but people still won't believe. I mean,
but Moses was 600 years old.
Yeah. Well, you look at
that never happened.
Moses, not Moses, but Noah. The story of Noah is really fantastic.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me he took a huge boat and brought two of every single fucking animal on the planet and put it on this boat? I think it's more realistic to think that he had the technology to take the DNA of these animals.
Exactly.
Was that what happened? I don't know. Yeah. Maybe. But Noah was really old too. In fact, Noah's father, I think it was Noah's father or grandfather, one of the two, was a man named Enoch. Enoch never died. Enoch was I believe 900 years old. And he was actually, for anybody who is a Bible aficionado, will know that Metatron, who was, I believe, God's scribe or something of that nature. Metatron was actually Enoch. He was the only archangel who was originally a human.
And when I've personally taken a religious history class before, they explained a lot of the upper years of people who were living in 400 years. That
absolutely.
The calendar wasn't correct, and I even had somebody explain to me that the sun coming through ozone layers wasn't as harsh on you, so it didn't age you. And that's just some of the things I've had explained. I was like, I'll buy more of the calendar and stuff like that wasn't correct than the ozone layer at that time. But I did actually have that explained to me. That's
they got the years wrong, even though that they knew that there was a solar, that we lived in a solar system. But they got the time wrong. They knew that shit.
Yeah.
It's like that. There's actually a tribe in Africa who worship their god, and their ancestors were from the start. And this is Native Americans.
Is that the neck?
I think
the skull thing. That's what African tribes that do.
That's not only done in Africa, but it was done in the Americas too. But they know, even though they are still pretty much primarily untouched by society, they know that we have a solar system, and they've known it for hundreds of years, and they knew about constellations, and they said it was given to them by their forefathers, by their gods. Right. So these people who don't have a great concept of time, who fucked up how old everybody was, were smart, but not smart enough to figure out a fucking year. Even though everything, if you look in the Bible and you look to the Sumerians, everything's based off of 365.
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
Everything. 365 days in a year, 360, or degrees. And they said that there was actually originally an extra 5 degrees on that. And I can't tell you right now why, but we're all connected, and everything goes one after another. And all you have to do is start from as early back as we know.
Yeah, as we know.
And then,
any of these, you look through time, and everybody goes along, but then these civilizations here and there go way more advanced than other ones do. And you got to look at those ones. Why the hell did that civilization figure out time and mathematics when these other fuckers were just climbing out trees?
Oh, yeah.
But even if they're perceived as primitive, they still have knowledge that was given to them.
Yeah. I mean, I see timelines of what's going on during the plague. If you look at those same timelines, what's happening in Asia, they're inventing clocks and shit. And when they can't even grow corn in Europe, it's like, it's just, there were certain weather things that happen, but technologically, why, and of course you can look at Eastern countries where their religion was more freedom towards science and stuff. They didn't hide it as much as the European countries was, and that's when they held them back. But still, how can you be thousands of damn years ahead of each other?
And you know what I think is fascinating? Speaking of Asia and Japan, for instance, Japan believed that a lot of their customs come from.
Oh, exactly.
And there's this great tapestry, and you can find them online, and it came from a woman who arrived on a boat that just happened to be shaped like a fucking flying saucer. And she showed up with a box that had a quote-unquote head in it. And she spoke a language that was unfamiliar to them. And she didn't look like the people. Now, this isn't a story.
Yeah.
This is their history.
This is their history.
This is their history, which is so fantastic. And what it comes down to is, even during the Dark Ages, when we thought that the fucking Earth was flat and you could sail off the edge, I think there's people who still knew.
Oh, yeah.
Especially people in European countries, I believe they still knew, because it's as simple as this. For anybody who grew up with G.I. Joes, knowing's half the battle.
Yeah.
Knowledge, and this is the thing, the main thing, knowledge is power. And what do fucking people want who are that 1%? What do they want? Not just wealth.
Power.
Yeah, and to maintain that control.
What's above money? Where do you go from money?
Exactly.
Power.
Yeah.
That's why, as a big history freak, I always look back at Charlemagne in France. When he became the king, he had two choices. Do I get the power derivative from God, and I have the church come and bless me, I become king, or do I have the people make me king and the power comes from them?
Right.
He decided to have the church involved, and that's where his power came from and stuff. So I was always thinking, like, what happened if he just said, no, I don't want the power from the church, I want the people to make me king? How would things been changed in Europe? Because that was the start of giving the church the power. You're greater than us, you make kings. So that's a huge power thing. So it's like, I always wondered, if that wasn't the moment where he gave that power to the church, would it have came along later, or somebody else would have done it, or how would they have gone about making that the church makes you king?
And look, and I think, with the church, that's one thing right there that you can look at as a symbol of control. They were more powerful than kings and kingdoms.
Oh, yeah.
And for anybody who's Catholic or keeping up on what the Pope says these days, he believes in aliens.
Oh no, they haven't. The Vatican has. I've been to the Vatican 5 or 6 times. I've actually went to the Vatican.
That's fucking cool.
There's astrology.
I wish I could say
there's astrology. They have astrology department in the Vatican now. For hundreds of years, it was not there, and now within the last 5 years, they have astrologers come out and talking about stuff.
This is fantastic. They out in, I believe it's Arizona, they have one of the biggest telescopes owned by the Vatican.
Oh yeah,
and you know what? It's named Lucifer. Look it up.
Tremendous.
That is great.
But
this chair every time.
Just
gonna collapse.
Excuse me, man. I'm glad I can make it through all that because I'm getting over a cold and whatnot.
Unfortunately, our time's going to run out here, man. But this was awesome talking to you.
Fucking awesome.
Hopefully, we can do it again, man. Because this time's gone pretty fast. Speaking of things,
so if there's any book or article you recommend for people you think people really should go check out,
or if someone comes and goes, "Hey, I'm really curious what you had to say. What's one thing you would tell me? I should go."
Assuming someone has never delved in it, it's like the common man. They've never delved. Where would you start them at?
I would start them with an author. And I mentioned him earlier, and it's just because he covers so many topics, and they all link together. Like I said, this is one topic that branches off into another, because they're all connected. There's no such thing as coincidence. And that's Jim Mars. Look him up. Dude's a genius. He's been around forever, and he's a smart guy, and he's all about telling the truth, and he's a lot about hidden history, and he covers it all.
Cool.
Well, cool. Well, once again, my name's Ben. Scary Gary, Broken Chair number 2.
Right.
Dustin, man, it's been awesome, and I really, really can't wait to get you back in here, man, because we can sit here and talk for 5 hours. So
we can do a part 2 in the series of Dustin Rayz.
Exactly, man.
It's going to be quite a few. We got a lot of material.
Yeah. So once again, thanks, man, and I haven't watched too much wrestling. Finkel's on the screen right now, and
Moondog Spot versus Jimmy Snuka. It was something else.
Finkel?
I caught glimpses of it.
Hair hasn't changed much, but it's been real alien talk with Ben, SG1 Broken Chair, and Dustin Rayz.
Sign it off.